Welcome to another edition of the Marvel Cinematic, the DC University podcast. That's what we're branded as currently, the DC University podcast, a temporary or maybe not so temporary branding as we talk about some stuff in the DC universe. I'm your host for today, Jay Christie, because AC, Anthony Canton III, is currently unavailable. He might join halfway through, but, he's got some situations going on. His power just went out. It's a whole rigmarole. But as I said, this is DC University, because we're temporarily talking about DC stuff because we decided we were not going to talk about the new Marvel release because we're not very interested in promoting stuff from Disney at this moment. Although within like the hours of starting to record this, things changed maybe, so it's up in the air. But currently, we're still branded as DC University. So what we're doing because of that is we're taking what was previously behind the wall, our Peacemaker reviews, and putting it in front of the wall. But if you want to hear the stuff that is behind the wall, like the first 4 episodes of our Peacemaker reviews, you can go to patreon.com/MC University Pod. We didn't change that name, but patreon.com/MC University Pod. For just $3 a month, you get all of our Patreon episodes. We're going to be doing another mailbag this month. We're going to be doing Batman 1989, directed by Tim Burton. Very exciting. We got tons and tons of episodes. We got tons of fun stuff on the Discord. Sorry, I don't have this down pat as much as AC, but the panel we have is the panel we've been having behind the wall. 2 great guests, 2 regulars, and now that we're fully going to Peacemaker mode, I'm doing in front of the camera what I've been doing every episode. I'm masking up. We got the key's always under the mat. The man, the myth, the legend, Rod, the black guy who tiffs. Rod, how are you?
I like the shirt and the coordination with the Peacemaker colors at the top. That's a real tight look, man.
I appreciate that. This was just the shirt I wore to work, and I thought about changing it, but then I had the same realization you had, and I'm like, no, I'll still wear it.
Yeah, well,
and the other guest,
I got one more thing though.
Of course.
So are all the old Peacemaker reviews going before the paywall too? The other ones we did too?
Currently no, but maybe in the future, cool. Just because
it's okay. No,
I don't think so. No, because no, I was gonna say no. No, we definitely talked about some stuff that I don't want to put in I was like, there's a tangent. I think it's at the end of the first one. Is top 5 tangent in MCU University history, and that's that's not a not competitive category. And we got a man who he's not doing great. He's looking to donate his ACL. The saddest Houston Rockets fan in your life. Teej, how you doing, Teej?
I just think that we should consider that maybe sports are bad and maybe we should free ourselves from them. Very sad update today. I actually had somebody DM me hours and hours before this broke, and I was
and
I was just begging that it wasn't true. And then I didn't see it break for like an hour and a half, and I took a nap, and I was like, all right, everything's probably fine. And I woke up from my quick little nap, and of course, the news had broken. So things are bad for my Houston Rockets, but otherwise, I'm great. I'm doing great.
I mean, and the segment we've been doing on the Peacemaker pods, and AC has been hosting it, and so I can't be as good of a host of it as AC, but he pointed out what he was going to ask you about. It's Better Call Teej, where he asked about something you tweeted, and today you tweeted, why is there a woman getting clapped from the back with her head in an oven and a turkey hat on, yelling "gobble gobble" on my timeline?
Someone rightfully asked me later after I tweeted that. Someone was like, "Wait, she doesn't say gobble gobble until like 35 seconds in the clip," and I was like, "Please don't ask any further questions. Thank you so much." That was a clip that was on my timeline on Monday morning. By the way, I literally woke up and it was one of the first things I saw.
Was it in your main timeline or was it in the For You timeline?
No, someone quote tweeted it. So someone I follow quote tweeted it, and it was a woman. Okay. It's always women that bring the filth to the timeline. By the way, it was a woman that put it on my timeline, expressed her disbelief at this video. And I also sharing her disbelief, by the way. I couldn't believe that video was on my timeline.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So we're not here to talk about the stuff that's on Teej's timeline. Although, honestly, it's my favorite thing to do. We're here to talk about Season 2, Episode 5 of Peacemaker. We some exciting stuff goes on. We get some reveals. We get a cool cliffhanger. But I'll start with you, Rod. What was the thing that stuck out the most to you in this episode, that where we finally have Peacemaker making the decision to go over to the other universe?
I mean, honestly, the thing that stuck out the most to me was Michael Rooker and the fate of his character. There's like so many huge plot things, but when that man Third Eye seen that Prime Eagle reveal, I just started smiling like, you son of a bitch, you did it again, James Gunn. I was cracking up laughing at that. But I mean, there's a bunch of important stuff too. But that was the moment that I was just like smiling and laughing.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Teej?
Um, there's a lot of I'm starting to see thanks to also my good friends over at New Rockstars. There's so much like hidden swastika watch stuff going on in the show
Yep.
about the other dimension, and I thought that was just a treat. It's just so incredible. You know, like we see the flag as we open the episode in our universe, but then when you go to the other universe, you see a flag, but it's like folded, so you can't
Yep.
see the
Yep.
insignia on the
There ain't
flag.
50. There ain't
Yeah.
50 stars on that flag.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
I like what we're doing is setting up the whole, and now it looks like going into next episode from the preview, which I usually try not to watch, but I watched it by mistake.
I did not watch it, but anyway.
That now we're gonna have the rest of our gang, because it ends with Judo Master and Peacemaker going to the other dimension. And now we know that the gang's gonna chase them into the dimension, which makes sense. Like we have to have them go over there so that they can all experience this and see how fucked up it is, and that's what I'm most excited about. That's the thing that really stuck with me the most.
A thing I really liked about this episode is that I thought that the catalyst for Chris deciding to go over to the other universe was going to be that Harcourt betrayed him, and that made him so sad he went to the other universe, right? And I thought, like, okay, that's a cheesy plot thread, like, but that's whatever. It's a classic plot that for a reason. I thought it was extremely smart to make it that no, she actually didn't betray him at all. Because if you think about it, like that wouldn't have been in her character to do that. Like she likes him enough to not. She wouldn't that willy nilly. I like the idea that the thing that drove him over the edge is not actually being betrayed. It's that she doesn't feel about him the way that he wishes that she did. You know, it's more. It's like it's not out of left field. It's like, yeah, I believe that Harcourt doesn't feel the way about Chris that Chris wants her to. Whereas I would not believe that she, after one visit from Rick Flag Sr., would be like, "Yep, I'm turning in Peacemaker." Like that just would be a little bit out of character.
I agree with that. I'm really happy with the way they did that, because I didn't think that it made sense in Harcourt's character that she would betray. And I know they're trying to show like all the things that happened before season one, which is why she might hate him. But we know what she came to feel about him in season one. Yeah. You can't just undo that. So I'm glad they didn't undo that.
Agree.
And I really like the opening flashback. I really like the flashbacks. I love when a show starts off with a flashback before the opening credits, not just because I am a fan of the USA Network original series Psych, which did that every episode, but I really like this funeral scene because, you know, I think that they do have to do some work to establish the Amelia was in relationship with Rick Jr., and that's why she's so upset. Because, like, that's the thing that they didn't establish in the first season. And so I really like that they established that, and I like the relationship that Rick Sr. tries to have with her. And the thing I liked about it, too, is that even though he wants to kill whoever did it, I like that he, in his way, understands that she can't tell him. That I thought that was going to be a big conflict. And it's like, but like, no, they're in the same game. Like, they're spies to their core. So it's like, yeah, of course she can't tell him that. Like, that's, you know, that, and he wouldn't expect that. I like that it felt, everything felt true to their characters in that scene. And it was really interesting. I also do love the fact that they reveal, and I know this was a thing in Creature Commandos, that he's, what is it? Richard Bill Flagg Jr.
Yeah. Yeah, not William.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then we get the really fun scene of, you know, which I think is like one of the more interesting scenes of the episode is when Peacemaker goes to see Harcourt, and we have all the angles and what have you. Now, Rod, I want you to talk about, because you're the expert in this, the bit where Tim Meadows' Flurry gets distracted.
Oh my God, man, that sister was so fun. James Gunn, man, I see you, man. I see what you're doing,
Great
bro.
job.
You got quite the eye for the talent out here.
Incredible job.
Yeah, Tim Meadows with the like literally did the like pull the shades of the move, like to take a gander. But yeah, obviously, I would like to be in the DCU because I know what I'm capable of, and she knows what she was doing with that peanut butter skin and that rack, walking through that park like that.
I cannot believe that I know what I'm capable of.
That's the wow. That's the line everyone forgets. They just think about the rack and the peanut butter skin. I'm like, What did he mean by I
Or,
know what I'm capable of,
or
brother?
the fact that he referred to himself as Jay in the third person. All right, Jay. Like,
Yeah, what is really
Uh,
happening over there with Jason
I'm glad
Whitlock?
that
But yeah,
she
great
went kind of
scene though.
viral. Like people definitely saw the talent, and she went kind of viral. And respect to her, she crushed her role, and I hope that we can bring her back as a recurring character. I would love that. Let's do
I
Yeah,
that.
mean, the thing is, say people, accuse James Gunn of casting favoritism, yada yada yada, and he does do a lot of that. But he
hmm
also casts beautiful women. You know what I mean?
yeah. I
And
mean, he's got
I
both.
appreciate that.
Yeah, you gotta take the good with the bad. Yeah,
It's about time someone
Exactly.
started casting beautiful women. It's about time Hollywood
listen,
did something
Uh
so
huh.
revolutionary as to cast beautiful women.
Exactly.
come on,
Exactly.
especially
Like
black ones.
Facts. Now that is actually
Right,
revolutionary.
right.
We did
I
Just
mean,
that.
the thing about James Gunn is like, the thing about James Gunn's casting, he really, a wide spectrum. Like, I mean, sort of discovered Palm Clemenchef, who is like half Korean, half French Canadian. Like, I mean,
right.
he's really, if there's a beautiful woman, he'll find a way to put her in something, and I appreciate that.
hmm
But then we get the scene on the bench with Harcourt, and I really love the bit, of that he's so. I love the incongruity of him being concerned about something that's like not important in the grand scheme of things, because he is going to get shot and killed. Like that's classic James Gunn shit. Is to like
Yes,
have the high stakes situation immediately deflated by he only cares about it wasn't real.
yes. I also love the way he got from the car to the bench.
Oh my god, yeah.
That was such funny physical comedy because at first you almost like, well, why is he just acting weird? Then you're like, no, I see. He knows they have people guns trained on him, and it
Mm,
honestly diffused it in a different way too. Because last week I thought, oh no, he's coming into a trap, and then this week I
mhm.
was like, motherfucking no, it's a trap.
He knows
This
it's
is
right.
even crazier.
I just love that he's so and it's you feel so bad for him. Because like you think about like he's willing to get shot just to
Yes.
know if it was real. Because if you think about this poor guy, like he, think about the life he has lived. Like, has
hmm
he really lived a life as an emotional adult until
Right.
like 2 years ago? Right? Like he's lived an emotionally stunted life his entire life, and so this
Right.
is really the first time he's ever had to wonder if a girl really liked him. Like it's
Mhm.
sad. I feel bad for him.
And it's
um,
juxtaposed with the hardcore scene on the bench in Earth X or whatever, where she's
yep,
the one,
yep.
reaching out to this emotionally disconnected dude that she thinks he is, and then in this Earth, it's the opposite way.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think really nice. And then he obviously gets up and they're gonna kill him. We find out that Bordeaux is a cyborg. Honestly, did not see that coming. I don't know if that's something in the comics. This is a thing that AC will be able to tell us if his power were working. Um,
Mhm.
but I thought that was an interesting reveal. I like that her cyborg powers aren't like crazy. Because
Right.
we already have so many crazy metahumans. Also, if they were super crazy, you'd be like, then why is she working behind a desk to begin with?
Yeah.
Like
That's a good point.
Also,
um,
deaf hand to James Gunn on this because she just looked like a regular person,
mhm,
and we know he's willing to be silly and make a half robot face or some weird
mhm.
armor or something like that. Like she just looked like her, but like with super duper cool robot insides. That was dope.
Yeah, she looks like she's got Fallout 3 HUD.
hmm
It's like 98%.
Shout out
And
to
so
Economos for saying
mhm,
he has her mangled body as his
yeah,
screensaver because he hates her
that's
so much.
insane. That's
Jesus,
That
insane.
was insane.
Jesus, that was
I mean,
dark.
man, I've seen some weird, screensavers on people's phones. But that I don't know what I would do if I would definitely call someone if I saw someone had a mangled body. But
Right.
anyway, and so Bordeaux's gonna kill him, but then we get the great bit where Harcourt basically comes in and beats the shit out of him and knocks him out in order to stop her from killing him. Which I thought this was really well done. I think that they talk about because they've been doing the companion podcast that like it is really hard to convincingly have a much smaller woman take down someone as big as John Cena. And like obviously in real life that wouldn't happen, but part of it is that obviously he's not fighting back that much. But I do think that they do shoot it in such a way, and you can tell that Jennifer Holland has gotten significantly like bigger and stronger since the first season, where you're like, you know what, this is like a capable assassin. Like, I'm willing to suspend my disbelief for this. This is not, what's her face from Captain America: Brave New World. Like
Oh
that's
man, that was crazy.
yeah.
How did that make it past the screening audience?
I mean, how did I think the problem with that movie is that everything made it past the screening audience 7 times, and they
That's a
kept
good point.
rejecting everything. And it's very like, we're out of film. We actually don't have enough time anymore to make this movie.
All right. Ah.
Like, I don't think
Yeah.
a screening audience ever approved anything. They just ran out of time.
Yeah, they're like, we can't just keep saying no. So just take what they haven't said no to yet and just throw that in and make a film. That takedown was dope, but I like the reason of it, being to stop him from being killed as opposed to just, like you said, some angry betrayal. And when her and Economos kind of talk later, like it's you still feel like, okay, season 1 counted. Cause I think a lot of times people get really cute when they get a season 2 and they basically reset all the relationships, or they do these weird betrayals where it's like, we just need a shocking moment. This person you thought was cool is not cool. Like, it still feels like season 1 mattered, and all those people were who we came to know in season 1.
It's my least favorite sequel construction is whenever there's a sequel, and this happens all the time with Lego sequels now, where a movie ends and then the sequel is a few years later they broke up, and it's like the movie ends with a group coming together as a triumph. I mean, the way I'll give it a name. It's the Ghostbusters 2 problem, where it's like, I just watched the Ghostbusters come together and save New York. I don't want to see 3 years later they're all depressed and hate each other. Like, I don't. I want to take to see Ghostbusters 2. I don't want to see that.
Right.
And so I like that. I like that they're still feeling, and so I feel like the really awesome and compelling stuff of this episode to me was the stuff that happens in the office after this, with the stuff with Economos, with Hardcore, with Peacemaker. How do you feel about Teej? Because I feel like we've been talking about Economos as like a character who actually has a lot of meat on his bone for the show, like this season. How do you feel about his conflict in this bit, where he's conflicted for what to do about this? Because might be the most acute conflict he's in. This is really about Peacemaker living or dying.
Mm-hmm. I like what they're doing with it. Obviously, like I said, I think last week, like, we know where Economos lands, like we know where he sides. But I do like this aspect of, like, he's in, and he's got to at least give lip service to the fact that he's trying to help take down Peacemaker. I like it. It's like I know where it's going to end up. Like, I never think that he's just going to betray Peacemaker, but I never thought that Hardcore would just flat out betray Peacemaker either. I don't think that would be true to the characters, but I like that we can at least play with it for plot purposes. I was fine with it.
Yeah, I think the thing about him is that, like, he doesn't want to betray Peacemaker, but he also, like, he just is so averse to doing anything, really. And I think I'm highlighting it so much because I can relate very much. It's like, intellectually, I don't want Peacemaker to die, but I also don't want to get in trouble at work. It's so he books him. A really interesting thing in this, and I want to talk about Rick Flag Sr. in a second because I think there's a lot there. I think it's very interesting that they give Flurry the moments that they give him. Mm-hmm. Rod, how do you feel about that? Like, because he's been a joke as a character entirely. Yeah. How do you feel about them giving him humanizing moments, too, specifically?
Yeah, I love that stuff. One, because Tim Meadows can pull it off, and also I like wild card characters. I don't like characters that they show up, they're one way, they're always that way. So it was cool to have those humanizing moments. Plus, the other thing is not necessarily that we think that guy is evil or cruel. We think that he's flippant and unserious. Like, that's our issue. Like, he's just always saying some unserious shit at the most inopportune time, and you're like, do you get it or not? And then he'll say some, like, business level shit, and you're like, well, I thought that was your job. So to see that he's not like a total asshole, and that he can also see that, like, Flag is compromised emotionally. He can see when they're doing shady shit. And so even with him being the worst HR, the walking cyclone of an employee possible, he does seem to have somewhat of a heart, and I think that's a good thing. Also, it made me think, okay, this character might have a future beyond just like this season or something, because you don't show us that he's not just a piece of shit unless you want us to, like, kind of want him to come around in these last couple of episodes and possibly in the future.
So I just had a thought. So I don't know if this is in other states. I assume it isn't. But in the HR sexual harassment training in the state of New York, for a couple of years, as an example, they use scenes from the Netflix movie The Assistant starring Julia Garner. And so I'm thinking, what if in the examples they use Flurry from Peacemaker? Like, how
Yes.
is this sexual harassment?
Yes. How not to talk to people. Titties.
Like, what was the sexual harassment? Calling him for titties.
What did he do wrong here?
Ginger cool.
No, that stuff he said to Judo Master, I was dying. And then when Judo Master said he ripped his dick out, it was so much funnier when he flipped to actually talking like normal with respect. Like where he's like, yes, well, we will do the such and such, and no problem, Mr. Such and such. And I was like, whoa.
Because there's levels of dick. Like, he's like a guy who's a dick in like verbally, but he's not trying to kill people. He's not trying to like. He's a really easy to back off. If he believes that you're gonna use violence against him, he's like, okay, absolutely, no problem with me. But no. But we have the bit with Rick Flag Sr., and I think that this is such an interesting scene for Peacemaker because obviously Rick Flag Sr. wants to kill Peacemaker, and he takes him into the interrogation room. That he gets Bordeaux and Fleury to leave him alone. And man, you want to talk about HBO violence, HBO level violence? I was going to say that Flag was giving him that work, but that sounds like too casual. Like he was beating the shit out of him. Like he was
going to beat him to death if not stopped.
There's the bit where I don't know if you saw any of the slow-mos of it, Teej, but did you see any of the slow-mos of where he knees him into the wall?
Oh my god.
Oh my! Basically, it's clear that they made like a really lifelike doll, but there's a slow-mo bit where it looks completely real, where he knees him into the wall to the point where the wall cracks a little bit, and like it's rare to see like a person in a movie or TV show like straight up get beaten to death with their hands.
Yeah.
But obviously, Teej, the most interesting thing in that scene, in my opinion, is what is Chris doing as this is going on.
I found it to be a little weird because he is obviously getting the shit beat out of him, but the way that he's handling it, it's like I couldn't really get a good read on it. Like, was he just accepting that like he was just going to get
maybe
beat to
I
death?
can speak as someone who has a lot of Catholic guilt. He is letting him do it because he thinks that if that's what he wants to do, he deserves it. That's how I read it, and that felt completely real to me. Like I'm obviously not to be beaten to death, but definitely times in my life where I've done something I thought was wrong, I will just sit there and get yelled at and be fine with it because I'm like, yep, I deserve that. I think that that's what he's doing. He's like, if this is what my penance is, then bring it on. And I think that's extremely
honestly the beating scene made me feel like that's when he decided to leave. Like, I know part of it's supposed to be like after Harcourt betrayed him, blah, blah, blah. It felt like that scene was like our signal, like he's fucking out of here. Like he thinks he could die right now. He's okay with that. So of course, if he gets out of here, he's never coming back. He sees no value being on this earth.
Yeah, because I think that he wants to believe that he can find penance in find absolution in this world, right? And I think that in that moment, he realizes that the only way Rick Sr. will give him absolution is by killing him. And so if that's the only choice he has, then he's not willing to make that choice. And I think that that's like, I don't know, I really understand. Like, it's unfortunate because he's being completely sincere when he says, this doesn't mean anything to you, but I think about it every day. But once again, that also means nothing to Rick Sr. His son was murdered. So, like,
right.
That unfortunately that like the thing that Peacemaker has to make peace with, as it were, is that he has done unforgivable things, and that's not just a term of art. Like, they literally are things that you cannot be forgiven for. And yeah, I thought that was really interesting, and the fact that he's it stopped because he got booked in. But then we get the shit where Bordeaux seems completely okay with this program, and I mean, she looks like she might be she might like her men older. In a way that makes Fleury a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, that she was giving all the signs, and it felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. Like, there wasn't a lot of foreshadowing that she was into Rick Flag. It's like the beating and the dedication to her to his son or something. Like, it activated her. She was like, I know you was into this.
I only noticed it because it was pointed out on the Peacemaker podcast, but there
Mhm.
was the choice made in the first episode where if you look at the first interaction, she's a little handsy with him in a way that you wouldn't be with your boss. So I don't think that it
Okay.
was obviously it was out of nowhere if you're not paying attention to shit like that, which I wasn't. But
Right.
I do like the idea that she is someone who is actually like turned on by that because that's not a thing that
Yeah.
exists. I mean,
Like
like
if even let's say she was into him before, she wasn't that into him. She wasn't like that.
no,
Like that. I would
no.
listen. I'm a man who famously can't tell when people are flirting with him. I could
Mhm.
tell in that scene. I was like, oh my god,
Mhm.
she's flirting with this man and just beat somebody half to death. Like, I think she would
Mhm.
give it to him.
Yeah, she's like, give me that RFK Jr. physique now.
Yeah,
Um,
throw this
Oh
robo
my
pussy
god.
on your ass.
wow. You have to wonder, is that a thing? If James Gunn, if anyone was going to answer that question in a mainstream
It's
superhero
James Gunn.
property, it would be him.
He know the answer. Like I just
Yeah, he
said it
knows the
out
answer.
loud, but he's somewhere like listening to this podcast. Like these guys know ball.
Yeah. And he and the thing is, he'll probably say it in a bit on his podcast, and then Jennifer Holland will say something implying like you should not have said that, and that's why I love James Gunn because I can relate. Speculating about the genitalia of superpowered robot people is a thing that is a thing that they say that the smartest people among us do that. Actually, that's actually a thing that studies say. Um, but let's go to the side plot with Michael Rooker, who is just so delightful in this. He's got that gigantic gun um, that looks like a cartoon, but apparently is a real type of gun. Um, and he's looking to kill Eagly. And I just love that we talked about how we loved at the end of episode 4, where it's revealed that he actually does have magical powers, right?
Yes.
And like that's such a fun realization that like you think it's silly and he actually has magical powers. I think the double beat of that is you think it's silly to call Eagle Prime because it's based on a lie, but Eagly is actually Eagle Prime.
It's so good.
That's so good. Classic Gun. That was very well done.
Oh man, when those fucking other Eagles came out, and I was like I was saying on my couch, literally saying it out loud, like, oh my god, he's the prime eagle, he's the primal eagle. It's fucking real. This guy's about to meet his nightmare. And let me just say, my man Michael Rooker, he stole the show
Mm-hmm.
for me this episode.
Yep.
Because he was basically like Gargamel for the Smurfs. First, he has the fucking rat trap thing where he's gonna poison Eagly or something. And like they cut to him as Eagly's like picking it up, and then Vigilante comes out and he's like, "Oh no!" Like he was so into trapping this fucking eagle. Then he gets the big ass fucking gun, walks into the woods with this gun, shoots some other random eagle he thought he hit. But when Eagly is turning on him, he's talking to Eagly like it's a person. Like, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Like I love the way, because this is the way I interpreted it, and this is how Michael Rooker said he meant it, is that he's like apologizing not just for going after Eagly, but by in the beauty of seeing the prime eagle.
Yes.
He is apologizing for living the life he has lived. Like
yes. That's I'm telling you, man. I know it's such somebody out there is mad at that, and even being in this fucking series. I get it, but he made it. I guess Gunn put it in there for me because I was smiling like a motherfucker. And yeah, his apology feeling like this fucking like this huge apology for a life wasted destroying eagles was just so fucking good to me. And then them killing him anyway was also amazing.
And it was great. I mean, Teej, how did the visuals work? Because it was gnarly in the way that, once again, James Gunn is great at.
They worked well for me. I really appreciate it. I really like that scene. And just, like even from the fake out of thinking that he shot Eagly, like, oh my God, he shot Eagly. I didn't buy it. I was like, no, that's not Eagly. It's going to be some other eagle. But damn, he did have to, like, an eagle did actually get shot. And so if you know anything about James Gunn, if you're going to see an animal being harmed, like, there's going to be quick retribution. And it's going to be harsh. So at that point, I knew, like, oh, he's definitely going to die. Let's just see how he dies. And I really loved how it was literally the lie that Economos told ended up being exactly what happened. I just thought that was so funny.
And like He stabbed an eagle. Like, he didn't go down easy. He
Mm.
pulled out a knife out of nowhere, stabbed the eagle. Another eagle pulls his arm down and slams it on the ground. So it was so fucking funny, man.
They
Like,
were
what a
beating the
great death.
shit out of him.
They fucked him up, man. I know people are like, nobody, no death, but like, I don't even want to know what kind of prosthetics and makeup
Nah,
they'd
he's
have to
dead.
do to bring that character back.
Because the thing is, if James Gunn's going to do anything, it's kill Michael Rooker off. I think he's in
Exactly.
every single thing he's ever made. Because in Slither, he obviously dies because he's like the first guy to get infected by the aliens, and all the aliens die. In Super, I believe he gets shot by Rainn Wilson. In Guardians,
dies.
Guardians 2, he obviously dies.
Yeah.
In the Suicide Squad, he's the first person to get his head blown off. Like,
Mhm.
Michael Rooker is going to die in a James Gunn property, and it's beautiful.
Well, apparently he was the cast only came on last minute to do reshoots of this character because the original actor, whoever it was, just wasn't working out in the role.
Yeah.
So they recast, and he told Michael Rooker, like, this will not preclude you from being other characters in the DCU, and he's already been other characters anyway.
What he said, what James Gunn said, and I think that this is in ways unfair to the original actor, is that what he said was that he wrote it with Michael Rooker in mind, but didn't cast Michael Rooker because he didn't want to waste that role on him, so he cast someone else. But then he was like, "No, I wrote this for Michael Rooker," like, and that's I think that's unfair.
Yeah. I wonder if that actor was Sean Bean.
I'm trying to think who. I mean, there are other actors who I could see doing something like this, but the commitment is like, I can see another actor do something as silly, and I can see another actor do it with gravitas. But the fact that Michael Rooker is doing it so silly, but also just like his vibe is so because Michael. The thing about Hollywood is that so few actors seem like they're from not New York, Chicago, or LA, even if they're not from those places. And like Michael Rooker just reads like he's from like regular America, and that's like that's why he's been a character actor for 50 years, because you're just you throw a guy in where he talks.
And I
like
only
that.
said Sean Bean because Sean Bean dies and everything, not because
of course, no, I don't. No, I got it.
Okay,
no, of course, I got it. Yeah. Shout out to Sean Bean. God, imagine that that must have really hurt the first time someone pointed out that he dies and everything, because he really does like die and everything.
I kind of, in my brain, my head canon, I like to think of actors that instead of it being like a plight that they're not aware of, I like to think that he tells his agent, like, does this guy die in this? And he's like, yeah, I better fucking get the part. That's all. I'm not even auditioning. Get them on the phone. I feel like the same thing with the Jamin Hansu. He tells his agent, does this character have a last name? No. I better fucking get the part.
Jamin Hansu. No. Can I tell you how Jamin Hansu's process works? Rod, can you call? I'm going to be Jamin Hansu. Call me and say hi, Jamin, and then I'll say, okay, go. Hello.
Hi, Jamin Hansu. It's your agent. I got a part.
Take it. I'll take it.
I just think Jamin Hansu is one of those guys that's so interesting because you go to his IMDb. I'm not bullshitting. It is like 85% of his characters have no last name. I noticed this one day while we were doing one of our nerd shows, and I was like, "Is this like his thing?" He's just like one name guy. I'm your man.
I mean, unfortunately, I think a lot of it is Hollywood screenwriters are like African. They don't need a last name. Like, I think that's a lot of it, unfortunately.
But then when it started doing to the Marvel universe, I was like, get the fuck.
Yeah. Like, are we really?
This your thing, dude. Come on.
I think I love about Jamin Hansu. A fact I learned about him, because I almost referenced this when you did the call, but I didn't want to sound like I was doing a bit. Is apparently in group text, because I was listening. I was talking, Rachel Zegler, who's a huge fan, was talking about the Shazam 2 group text. Apparently, he starts almost all of his text messages with benedictions.
No,
I mean,
what?
No,
he's a religious man. Benedictions. Shout out to Jamin. You used to just go by Jamin when he was a model, just one name. He should have kept doing that.
That's probably why his characters only got one name.
That's true.
That's what happened.
Yeah, I'm looking at you guys made me go back. Quiet Place, one name. Rebel Moon, one name. Gran Turismo, 2 names. Some movie
Aquaman, he's
Ozzy.
just the king, right? He's Riku, right? In Aquaman. King Riku.
I'm still going down. Shazam, he's
Oh,
Wizard.
Yep.
Wizard? That's not even really a name.
Wizard.
He's a wizard.
That's
That's a
literally not
job.
a name.
Nigga, what is wrong with him? Korath and Captain Marvel. That's his.
Yeah.
That's his MC. Yeah, King
Yep.
Roku. That's not a full name.
No, it's not. Although in Aquaman, no one under the ocean has a full name though. It's Orm, it's Mera, it's Atlanta.
But
you know,
that's why he got that movie. Is what I'm saying.
that's true. Also, it's crazy that he's in. It's crazy that he's in Aquaman because if you remember, he's in it for one scene and he dies. It's like you're already in the DCEU. What are you doing? He's like wearing a ton of makeup. It's like you took.
I think
like
it's that
7 hours
combination. I think it's a combination of what you said and what I said. It's one name, and then he'll take any role with. He's just it's like you already been to DC. He's like, does it have one name, and is it a job? Does it pay? I'll be there.
You know, and I respect that. But speaking of people who have two names, Chris Smith, he's after he gets out of Argus because Rick Flag Sr. fears that he's going to get a murder charge. It turns out that Rick Flag Sr. is fine with that because they're just going to follow Chris back to the portal. But Chris, he's not going to make that easy because he's going to go into the portal forever. And we see him writing a note, and we see him taking time to go in. He goes into the portal, and we later learn that Judo Master also went in. But there's the great scene where we see him go into the Argus headquarters in the other universe. We see... I think that was really impressive is just like how, without any lines of dialogue, how the other Harcourt is just so not the same person at all. Mm-hmm. You don't even... Just their facial expressions are so different.
Yeah.
And we see the top trio kill a kaiju.
Okay, wait. We got to talk about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all from New Rockstars. I did not put this together on my own. That kaiju is apparently the same exact kaiju from Superman. Yeah. The kaiju that Lex Luthor sends to cause the distraction in the Superman movie. If you have not seen Superman, one, go watch it, but also two, it's on HBO now, so you can easily go watch it. But so that's like the same kaiju. Which I did not put together. So that leads me to ask, is this... I would imagine this means that there is a Lex Luthor in this universe, in the widest universe possible.
I'm not sure. Maybe, but I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't think it means that. I think it means that that's just because we don't know where Lex got that kaiju. Maybe Lex got that kaiju from another universe, or...
That's fair. Yeah. Does that mean that DC is just trying to skimp on making the kaiju and putting it on screen? Yeah. And just said, no, just put them on screen again?
Teej, have you read any stories about the working conditions for VFX people? We should be happy they're doing that.
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I would like someone to be able to go to their daughter's bat mitzvah as opposed to working on a whole new kaiju. I think I'm fine seeing the same kaiju twice.
Knowing James Gunn and his writing process, I wouldn't be surprised if during Superman he was like, let's take a few minutes out to make this special effect that we can use in Peacemaker as well while we're here, while we got everybody doing this shit, so that we don't have to double up.
I also think that my actual answer is I think that kaiju is probably from another universe, and I think that that's related to the fact that these are all interconnected, because obviously these are all interconnected universes, but the thing we kind of believe is that these ones are close to each other, right? In proximity. And so I can imagine there being a universe that is the universe that multiple Lex Luthors get their monsters from. That would just make sense to me. That Lex Luthor outsources getting monsters from another universe. I can't figure it out. But can you imagine there's a pocket universe yes, this is the universe where I get my monsters from. You can just imagine that being it.
Doing some monster shopping.
Yeah, exactly. And so he goes inside, and the top trio kills the kaiju. The top trio just is not. The top trio honestly sounds like a 50s white guys in suits playing soft rock band that was on the Ed Sullivan Show. And now the top trio. I love a girl and she loves me.
It feels like what they would have named the Fantastic Four if Johnny had died or something. In that Fantastic Four movie universe where it was still the 50s. It's there's three of them survived. The top trio, everybody.
Yeah, the top trio kill the kaiju. Yeah, I mean, Yeah, it definitely is an old school name, which gives credence to the idea that there's not a lot of culture going on in this
Yeah.
universe.
And that there's
Um,
not a lot of black people, because we would have came up with something more popping than that. It was very salt and pepper to taste.
mhm, exactly. And so we have the great ending bit though, where they all read from Chris's note, and they're all kind of different levels of devastated. And I think one of the more powerful bits, I think a lot of people have glommed onto this, is the fact that Vigilante is crying as apoplectic, and that's
Yeah.
extremely out of character for him. And I think it's out of
Yeah.
character, not in like it's poorly written, but like that is how much Peacemaker meant to him. That like a great point that I've heard on the official podcast was the idea of like, not this is not officially canon, but like this might be the first time that Vigilante has cried as an adult. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
he's and I do love that even though Adebayo hates him in some ways, she comforts him
Mhm.
because she's the heart and soul of the group is the thing.
Mhm. Yeah, he
I'm
definitely.
so glad that she's going over to the other universe because she's going to. I expect her to put up 35, 25, and 10 in the next episode. Like I
Yeah.
just cannot fucking wait.
I'm
Yeah.
sleep.
I've been waiting for this all season.
I feel like she is the Cooper Flag of the draft, but honestly, I think y'all sleeping. I think Judo Master is the Con Nipple of the draft, and if he goes over there, he gonna fuck them white people up. When he
He's
find
already
out
been
they
fighting
racist,
against racism in our
right?
dimension
That's
about the
true.
racist
And
shit
he
that Tim
got the
Meadows is saying.
hands. Like he don't play
So
that
he
shit.
got the head, so he
Yeah,
gotta go crazy.
he gonna go off.
Yeah, it's I'm very interested to see Adebayo go over because Adebayo doesn't take people's shit.
Mhm.
And that's gonna be very interesting. But she's like outnumbered to the point where like I don't know if not taking people's shit is really gonna be an asset.
Mhm.
Because if
Right.
everyone who's around you wants to kill you, there's only so much that will help you. Um, I'm very interested to see, and there's some stuff in some of the stills from the next episode, which is interesting. Like I'm interested to see the way Vigilante acts because I think
Mhm.
that Vigilante, say what you will about him, like he would absolutely, in terms of the way that he views justice, I don't think that he would be very okay with a violent, racist America. I think he probably would not
Mhm.
appreciate that. And so I can imagine him trying to kill people and
He
Peacemaker
has a
being
heart. He'd never kill a prostitute.
that seems so great. And he only
Oh,
kills
that was
Johns.
good.
I
He
only
said
kill
only
Johns.
Johns.
Oh,
God.
that was so funny because like I was when she was getting the call, I was thinking like it's probably some sort of like prostitution misunderstanding because just the way the call was going. But the language that was used and her attitude on the phone started convincing me like, oh, maybe it's on the up and up. I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an Argus trap or something. And then he's like, Greek, yeah, that means anal. I was like, oh, okay, yep, no, it was what I thought.
Yeah. I just he's definitely the sweetest sociopath on TV, and I like because he's a really good foil for Peacemaker because he's kind of like Peacemaker takes the idea of justice to like the nth degree, and Vigilante takes it to like the quintuple nth degree, like to the point where it's completely absurd.
Mhm.
And I just think that's such a fun character to foil against Peacemaker. I'm really interested, obviously like Harcourt is the character who is most stoic at the end here, I think.
Yeah,
And I think there's a lot of ways to look into how she feels about going to the other universe. But I like the fact that there's no, real hesitation that they all
right.
know that they have to. Because once again, as you were saying, Tej, like it would be really annoying if they were to act like the relationships that they built in the first season weren't there. Like from what we saw in the first season, obviously they're going to go over to try to save him. But I
Mhm.
think lesser shows would try to act like that was a conflict moment.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to do that. We know what they're going to do. I'm actually feeling a little sad for Peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, I'm feeling sad about a white man who's going to realize that his all white fantasy is going to come crashing down on him. Not that he has a fantasy of living in an all white world,
Right.
but
No.
he has a fantasy of escaping to this world that happens to be all white. And he didn't notice yet. But
Mm-hmm.
when I was in college, early on in my college days, I had a friend or a friend of a friend who was on the MTV show Room Raiders. And
Oh no.
for the younger people in the crowd, basically the concept of the show was a person would get access to three different people's bedrooms in their house, and you'd have to pick who you want to go on a date with based on their bedroom, what's in the bedroom, how messy it is, whatever weird shit is in there. And this person told me that the Room Raiders is basically all staged by the producers. The weird stuff that goes in there, you find weird random stuff, the black light, all that shit was all just fake. Because it doesn't really make sense that you'd be on this show, you'd agree to be on this show and leave your fucking sheets there from the week before and not clean your bedroom. But as a young person who was obsessed with reality TV, I knew that there was some level of production, but I didn't know exactly how much. And having that person walk me through what the show was actually like behind the scenes literally crushed my version of that show. I could never fully enjoy the show again. And he went as far as to apply it to all the other shows I love, which is like, there was a show called Next that I was obsessed with.
I was going to say, Next was...
The tone of, basically for the young people, Next was the greatest reality show ever. It's kind of like Pop the Balloon, but it's like has production value and it was fun. But basically, there'd be all these people on a bus and the person would be on one long date, but you could always kick the person off and say next, and then somebody else from the bus would come onto the date with you. It was a great concept. Some people would be so ugly they'd walk off the bus, they'd say next immediately. It'd be the funniest shit you've ever seen. But he ruined these shows for me, and that's what's about to happen to Chris in the coming episodes, is that he thinks this is his escape from reality, which reality TV was for me, and it's going to all come crashing down on him because, unfortunately, there is no real escape from reality. So I'm feeling a bit sad about what he's about to experience because he's going through a lot right now, man. He literally was accepting being beaten to death by someone. He was just accepting it. He wasn't even trying to defend himself in any way, shape, or form. So he's in a very bad mental place.
Yeah, I know. Of course, the only real reality show was True TV's Bait Car, but that's not here or there.
What an insane concept for a show.
You ever watch Bait Car?
I did.
I love Bait Car because Bait Car was, it was somewhat real because it was not well made because every single time it was the same. It was always the exact same thing would happen, is that people would walk by a car and someone would walk by, someone would say, nah, man, that's a fucking Bait Car.
No, and then people would literally say, like, nah, man, don't touch that car. Something ain't
then someone would get in, people get in, they'd be driving around, and then when the car would stop, the person in the passenger seat would invariably turn to the person in the front in the driver's seat and say, oh man, this is a fucking Bait Car. Every single time, this is a fucking Bait Car. And I watched one summer, I watched so many hours of it, and I'm like, why am I doing this? There's no drama. The same thing happens every time.
Yeah, that's why you were watching it. There's that show. My favorite reality show of all time, and probably the only real reality show, was the first 3 or 4 seasons of Cheaters before Joey got stabbed and shit. That used to be mine.
It got real fast.
He got stabbed, boy. They started screening motherfuckers like, boy, they wasn't gonna let that happen. But before that, they was. By the way, they were playing with getting stabbed for a long time before it happened. I remember a dude pulled a gun out on them. On the whole crew, camera crew scattered at I was like, this is real. This people was running like, I'm not dying on the job for no footage.
I always thought about, I used to watch a lot of To Catch a Predator, an incredible concept for a TV show, but I always wondered, sometimes he's in the deep South, the real South, and I'm like, this don't go like this, because if you do that show right now in Texas, you're getting shot. I give it 3 days that you're out there doing this to those people before somebody just pulls out on you, and it's going to get nasty, bro.
I think that they probably screened the people enough, but with the people he, cave because the way that some of it's real at least is because a lot of the court cases got thrown out, and so the fact that they went to court means that it was somewhat real.
Oh, To Catch a Predator was definitely real. Yeah,
that's definitely my biggest guilty pleasure because I know objectively it's bad and that's not a good way to run a justice system, but it is also funny when the one guy put his shirt over his head and said role playing chat room, dude. You can't beat that.
God, when he used to read the transcript, I died every time. Because they would really try to be like, I'm a nice guy, man. I don't know what you're talking about. So you didn't know what you were talking about.
I didn't know how old she was. She never told me how old she was. Right. She said she was 17. She said she was 18.
And they would literally have the voice actors read the transcripts in the background. I was like, dude, just say you did it and run.
Remember the guy who they told him to undress and he got completely naked and he was like, I'm just making a mistake.
Yes.
He was
Dog, my favorite thing was when they would try to run at the very end.
Oh my God.
I'm like, you've already been humiliated on tape. Your ideas out there. You've been busted on national TV. Everyone knows you're a fucking freaky frog. and then they leave because he doesn't go outside and get arrested. He's like, go ahead, go. And they think it's probably like, well, at least I didn't get arrested. And here come the cops and they start running and crying. Boy,
Best idea
put it in
ever.
my
When they
veins.
think they're free. They think they have the freedom. They're like, holy shit, I fucking escaped. And then they turn that corner and the cops are beating the shit out of them.
And they be
That
crying
shit's
like they're like, I'll be like, yes, go to
The best
jail,
is too is
pedo.
when they would like try to say that they were not going to do anything crazy, and then he'd be like, hey, "But what do you got in your bag right there?" And it's like
Wine
a 6-pack of
coolers.
Zima and like sex
Yeah.
toys. It's like Jesus.
Like, so you said he said in the transcript right here, I'll bring the wine coolers. What is in your bag? Well, nah, see, I was gonna
talk to her,
say this is bad and you shouldn't be drinking.
Yes. I was gonna tell her that she shouldn't be talking to strangers on the internet. Oh, you brought a vibrator and some condoms? Like, oh.
This is quite the illustration you was gonna do here, buddy boy.
And the thing is, they started to get more complex when like people started catching on to it. So they'd have the decoy like spend 5 seconds being like, "I made cookies, come in." And
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah. I just gotta get the clothes out the folder at the laundry. Dog, and then the best time was actually when they started knowing that he existed, and so they would be like, "Oh man, no, not you." I'm like, you came out here knowing this man exists.
Yeah,
what you gonna sell like drugs on Omar Street next?
I did it. He was it, and he. The thing about Chris Hansen is that he understood that the way he could get them under the most pressure is by just stating things clearly. Like, you said you were coming over here and you were going to drink alcohol and, you were going to make love all night for the first time. Like, he would just say it so matter-of-factly and then be like he would never have that. And then it's like, I don't know. Like, what were you thinking? Like,
yes. I guess I wasn't. Yeah. Now go. You can go. Oh. Dog, but that was what I was gonna say. When they started knowing who he was, that meant they knew the police were outside. Yeah. And my favorite ones was when he was like, "You could go," but they understood the subtext is you could go get arrested, and they're like, "No, I'll have some cookies." I'll. I will have it limited. No, you can go. No, you can go. No, I mean, but maybe we could talk a little more. No, you can go.
Man, shouts to TCAP.
What a time.
It's just really, what a time really is the thing. It really was a time in American history that, once again, legally extremely dubious. It's a lot of those convictions did not hold up, but it made for great content. And is that not the American way to do something poor in the justice system to make content? I mean, wow.
That is true.
Ahead of its time, really.
Yeah. Shout out to the OJ trial.
So, yeah, absolutely. I think we're basically done with the episode, which is good because we went on a whole TCAP tangent. Remember when people used to live tweet the reruns? That was classic.
Hell yeah. I blew up off of that.
I'm sure, Rod, that does not surprise me at all. But no, I think that I'm really excited to see these last few episodes of Peacemaker. I think that, once again, I think I said it ad nauseum, but like, with the stuff we're clearly going to be dealing with in that other universe, 95% of mainstream writer-directors who do like big budget stuff, I would not have the confidence to treat it with the seriousness that it should. Mm-hmm. And like, I think because James Gunn will treat it with like the ethical seriousness, I trust him to point out the silliness of it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's going to be some funny contradictions and things like that. But because I know that he's not going to be flippant about how much violence would be required for there to be a white ethno state in America, that like, I'm okay that he can have fun with it because he doesn't.
I did how far is he gonna go over there? Because I really want to see, like, is it just you're taking on the other two in the top trio? Is it is their version of quote unquote other heroes showing up? Are you gonna be killing random citizens? Like, hey man, all of you guys are on the menu. Like, I really want to see how far it goes because it could be anything when you decide that a whole earth of Nazis exist. I think the movie and moral film rule still exist in that there's no good Nazis, so you just can do anything.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm excited to see how far they go. I really like the fact they've been slow playing it. It's kind of a little annoying that a lot of people caught on. And part of me wishes that I wasn't online
Yeah,
for this, so I would be surprised by it.
same.
Because I would not have put it together myself. I don't think. I mean, that's my blind spot. I think that
I
Evil
put
Brother
it together, but I think I wouldn't have. Especially because they don't keep going back. I would have been like, maybe I was just pressed. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
now that everybody's saying it all the time on my Twitter and shit, I'm like, it's got to be that. But yeah, if it would have been no Twitter, I would have that first, because I wouldn't even have noticed the flags really. Like that first,
same.
Because they, like it's so subtle. I just would have been like, no, I'm probably tripping that there was no black people, or maybe just
the show takes place in Washington State. Yeah, like you can write it off.
Yeah, I would have wrote it off, and then when the reveal happened, whenever it does happen, I would have been like mind blown. But the fact that everybody I know is a nerd, and especially those that know the history of Peacemaker or Earth X, they wouldn't let me not know. So now he got to deliver.
There are definitely people who don't know and are going to be surprised by it, and I think that's fun. Like even like we are not those people, but it is so fun to me that there are going to be people that sit down to watch a show and they're going to be like, "Oh shit, this is what's happening," and we might get a little chatter from the right, and I'm hoping that we do get some chatter.
Oh my god, that's gonna be
I would love that. I would fucking love that.
That's gonna be so great because the
so
thing
is
is,
James Gunn.
Every time it happens with the boys, I love it. I can never get enough of the wait. Are we the baddies? Like it's so. Every single time the right wing has to learn that the things that make them right wing are why they don't make good art, it makes me really happy. Like it makes me happy to know that like they've chosen to live a life without empathy, and without empathy you can't make art. So therefore, all art media they consume is going to be on some level left wing, and that wasn't always the case. But since the right decided to be like, no, empathy's bad entirely, then like no shit, you're not gonna make any art. So yeah, it's very interesting. I'm excited to see how it happens because like James Gunn I don't think he will refrain from killing some Nazi civilians.
I want to see how far it goes because I'm excited for it.
He is the president of the company in a way. Like he's his own boss. He really can do whatever he wants. But yeah, any final thoughts on this episode before we move into before we call it a day and talk next week?
Well, we're getting into episodes 6 through 8 that were so spoilery and so substantive that James Gunn wouldn't let anybody see them early. So that's where we're at now, and how fucking exciting! It's been a fun season of the show, and I can't wait to see these episodes.
Agreed. And for me, I want to see Rick Flag Sr. see his son in the other Earth.
Yes, that's an angle I didn't even consider. Yeah,
because he definitely,
especially the fact that he's a goofball.
Yeah, yes. It's just right for a bunch of stuff. And how does he feel about it? How does he feel about his son possibly being a Nazi? Like, what if this ends in a way where Rick Flag Sr. has to kill Rick Flag Jr. for being a Nazi in this other universe? That would fuck his head up too. And maybe him and Peacemaker would finally have something in common. And then the last thing is,
I normally wouldn't have a big problem with it, but I just got with this Argentinian baddie, so really this is not going to work.
Yeah. I'm dating a brown lady, and I'm woke now. I just sorry to tell you.
Exactly. Hey man, woke Frank Grillo, 2025.
Yeah. And then the last thing is, it just kept making me think how Argus is such a stupid organization. All evil organizations always end up being like stupid in movies too, but like it's such a stupid organization. They keep hiring these people with like obviously dubious loyalty that have good, that aren't just like down for the cause, rule following evil people. Like Economos is obvious that his loyalties are tied up in some shit. Even working with Harcourt, it's obvious that her loyalties would be tested and tied up in some shit. And they just either assume that they'll always pick Argus, or they assume that the I guess this will reveal something about them. But it's like, this is not a good strategy for running a fucking Black Ops company, man.
I mean, not for Black Ops company, I think that that's fair. But if we talk about evil organizations, I think that they're actually just running into the problem that actual evil organizations have, where like top talent generally doesn't want to work for the evil organization.
Yeah,
it's kind of the whole issue with evil. Like, it's nothing about the real world. Even like successful evil organizations, it's like Nazis were like believing in Norse demons and
Yeah.
doing crystal meth. Like they weren't sending their best either.
Yeah,
So
it's the the Empire in Star Wars. Like there's a reason they can't shoot. They didn't get the best and brightest
exactly.
over there.
No. But yeah, I'm really excited for all that. I'm excited to continue talking. I'm excited to have AC back on once he gets his AC back on. But yeah, but
Yeah,
I see what
and
you
no
mean.
in the
AC here.
meantime,
We had an AC tear in the show.
yes, that's true. So Teej, where can people follow you? Where can people see you tweeting about turkey gobble gobble?
Les_Humble Teej. I'm there. I have a wholesome algorithm, which is why I was so shocked at seeing those cursed images on my timeline. Hopefully, tomorrow we can wake up to more wholesome stuff on the timeline.
Wonderful. And Rod.
Yeah, we have a Patreon for our podcast, The Black Guy Who Tips. So if you're listening on Patreon, go check us out there. And then just The Black Guy Who Tips for all those who are listening now that this is not behind a paywall. Just search The Black Guy Who Tips wherever you go and check out our podcast. Leave us 5-star reviews, all that good stuff. And thanks for having me. Oh, and Twitter, I'm still on there. Rodimus Prime.
Absolutely. You can follow me on Twitter at the J Christie, on Blue Sky at J Christie, on TikTok, doing the Museum of Twitter every day until the Larry Ellison algorithm, kicks me off because I voted for Kamala. And yeah, please join this show's Patreon, patreon.com/AMC University Pod. It's just $3 a month. For the amount of content we give you, that's a really good deal. I'm not allowed to say that, but we've got the amount of bullshit we have on there. We got, I think, like 25 hours of Daddy's Pods alone. And also, obviously, follow Anthony Canton _3 on Twitter for AC. And tune in next week. Like I said, we're going to be doing this instead of Marvel Zombies. Our programming up ahead is still up in the air, depending on how things fall. I think AC and I would both love to continue covering Marvel stuff. But, we also want to look at ourselves in the mirror at night. And so, yeah, we don't want to encourage people to spend money on things that we would find unethical. So we're skipping Marvel Zombies. Is this decision made easier by the fact the thing that we're skipping is Marvel Zombies? Yes, absolutely. Like let's be completely clear.
100%.
If Spider-Man Brand New Day was coming out next week, we would have different conversations.
Right.
But
speaking of which, my son Tom Holland has a concussion because he's on set jumping off of shit. We have never been more back. I am very excited.
He's in a concussion protocol, but hopefully he'll come out of the tent and get back to work.
Yeah.
So.
As I said on Twitter, I don't want to take time. Don't want him to become Tua Holland. We don't need that.
Did I ever tell y'all about one of the jokes I couldn't get past at Game Theory about Tua?
No, what was
Did I ever
it?
tell y'all that?
We were doing
our we were doing our upfront, like the first 6 minutes, which is just like random news stories. And one of the stories was this is when Tua kept getting fucking concussed. And so he got concussed this one time. And so, we write the thing and then we had this session called punch ups where you take like you just you're looking at the tape and then you're trying to come up with some fucking joke. And they just they would not take any of these fucking jokes, man. I don't know. Cause no one could come up with anything that funny about Tua without it seeming mean. That this guy, we're just laughing at a guy get concussion because you can't do that anymore. And then the joke I got past for the reading of the script before it gets finalized was look at Tua out there because he was having spasms. And I was like, he looks like a wee little leprechaun playing a flute, and the whole room erupted. And like it killed in the read, and then after everyone finished laughing, Bo was like, "But yeah, we got to cut that." And everybody's like, "Yes, of course."
That's good.
I don't know. I think a lot of people are disappointed in Tua, that he keeps losing. But if you know anything about his upbringing, it makes sense that he's okay being beat. Anyway, so that is for Teej and for Rod. I remember when there was like those stories about like Tua's heartbreak. It's like, is ESPN like doing like the happy upbeat music about the fact that his father beat him all the time? Like, I just don't understand that we act like this is normal. Anyway, that's the thing that really bugged me a lot. It bugged me a lot.
There are a lot of men in the WWE that are going to also beat Tua when he lands in his second career, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh my god! Anyway, shout out to Tua. Hope he decides to stop playing football. Genuinely,
and also
I don't want to
not to join. Also decides not to join Trump's athletic advisory panel. Come on, Tua. What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing?
The CTE panel. Anyway, I mean, the fact that he got LT, a convicted sex offender.
Bro, we got to protect our
That means
girls.
he fits right into the current White House if he's
Of course.
a sex offender. So that's why he was chosen. It makes perfect sense.
Of course, it's like it's really insane that it's like, oh yeah, of course they got a convicted sex offender. It wouldn't be a Trump council if not. Anyway, we live in hell, but we're still gonna be talking about Marvel and DC properties because it's a fun distraction. So for Teej, for Rod, for AC who's not here, I've been Jake. Have a good one.